In the heart of a forgotten countryside stood St. Augustine's Monastery, a decayed relic of its former glory. The building had been abandoned for decades, left to rot after a string of mysterious deaths. The villagers swore that the ghost of Sister Agatha, a nun who had met a tragic end, still haunted its halls. It was said that she had been accused of practicing forbidden rituals and was executed in secret. Her spirit cursed to roam, seeking vengeance on anyone who dared to enter her domain. Samira and her two friends, Kabir and Aliyah, were avid explorers of the paranormal. When they heard about St. Augustine's and its cursed history, they couldn't resist the challenge. With cameras, flashlights, and a small crucifix, they ventured into the monastery on a cold, stormy night. As they crossed the threshold, an unnatural chill wrapped around them, and the heavy wooden doors slammed shut behind them. Aliyah jumped, her flashlight shaking. "It's just the wind," Kabir said, but his voice lacked confidence. The walls were lined with cracked paintings of saints, their faces smeared and distorted. The faint smell of burning incense lingered, though no one had been there for years. As they explored the main hall, the air grew heavy. Samira noticed a strange humming sound, low and melodic, coming from the chapel ahead. "Do you hear that?" she asked. The group stopped and listened. The hum grew louder, turning into a chant. It was coming from nowhere and everywhere at once. They followed the sound into the chapel where rows of broken pews faced a shattered altar. A single candle burned in the darkness, though no one had lit it. Kabir moved closer, his camera rolling. Suddenly, the candle blew out, plunging the room into darkness. "Who's there?" Aliyah called, her voice trembling. In the dim beam of Samira's flashlight, they saw her. A figure in a tattered habit standing in the corner, her head bowed. "Leave," the nun said, her voice a guttural rasp that echoed unnaturally. The figure lifted her head, revealing hollow eyes that glowed faintly in the dark. Her face was pale, her lips cracked and twisted into a snarl. "Run!" Samira shouted, and the three bolted from the chapel. As they ran, the sound of the nun's footsteps followed them, slow, deliberate, but impossibly close. The monastery seemed to twist and change. Hallways stretched endlessly, doors led to nowhere, and the air felt suffocating. The chanting grew louder, interspersed with whispers that seemed to speak their names. "She's playing with us," Kabir panted, his face pale with fear. Suddenly, Aliyah screamed and collapsed. On her ankle was a handprint, blackened, as if burned into her skin. "She touched me," Aliyah sobbed, her voice breaking. Desperate, they stumbled into a locked room. Kabir kicked the door open, and they tumbled inside. The room was unlike the rest of the monastery, pristine, with a circle of candles surrounding an ancient book on a pedestal. The air buzzed with an unnatural energy. Samira stepped forward, her eyes drawn to the book. The pages were filled with symbols and incantations, the words written in blood. "This is what she was killed for," Samira whispered. She was trying to summon something. The door slammed shut, and the nun appeared, standing inside the circle of candles. Her hollow eyes locked onto Samira. "You've seen too much," she hissed. The candles flared, and the air turned icy. The nun raised her arms, and shadows began to pour from her body, twisting and writhing like living darkness. "We have to break the circle!" Kabir shouted. He grabbed the crucifix and threw it into the circle. The shadows recoiled, shrieking, and the nun's form flickered, but she lunged forward, grabbing Aliyah by the throat. "No!" Samira screamed, rushing to pull her friend away. The nun's grip was like iron, and Aliyah's eyes rolled back as her body convulsed. In a desperate act, Kabir grabbed the book and threw it into the flames of a candle. The room shook violently, and the nun let out a blood-curdling scream. Her form disintegrated, and the shadows evaporated into the air. The monastery fell silent. The oppressive atmosphere lifted, and the friends found themselves back at the entrance. The doors creaked open, revealing the stormy night outside. But Aaliyah was never the same. Her eyes held a haunted look, and she spoke of whispers in the dark. A week later, she vanished without a trace. Villagers claim that her spirit now walks the monastery alongside Sister Agatha, waiting for the next foolish souls to enter.